Hi, welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Botbrack for short. I'm over Box. So I got my first blockbuster summer film review for this season here. Don't know how many others I'll do. We'll see how many of these I get to. I haven't seen The Fall Guy yet. That doesn't seem to have done quite as well as everyone thought. But this is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So I've been excited for this for a while. I love the reboot trilogy of the Planet of the Apes, Rise, Dawn, War. I all watched them again just last week. And they hold up really well. Love the way Rise kind of builds and creates the situation where the Planet of the Apes could happen. Like the way the Dawn develops the conflict between the humans and apes, and the conflict within the ape camp between Cobra and Caesar. And then I liked War, which is quite a dark film actually, kind of slower pace, but the way that kind of goes as well. Some people didn't like War as much, but probably didn't like the slow tempo quite as much, but quite a lot of the filmic references in it. So I find it hard to pick a favourite between these three because they've all got qualities. The CGI is certainly better in the last two. But Rise of the Planet of the Apes is quite snappy, it's under 2 hours long. So a really good reboot of a franchise, a very successful one that grossed, I think, $1.7 billion thereabouts, maybe just a bit less than that. And I don't think people expected it to do as well in a lot of ways, but the first trailer for Rise of the Planet of the Apes was very good. So I've always been a Planet of the Apes fan. Obviously, the first film's a classic, the other four in the original series are varying quality, but I've just kind of always liked them. There's something about those chimps. The only sort of sour note really is the Tim Burton remake, although it did have a good performance by Tim Roth. So what's this like? So I've been sort of reading other reviews before doing this, so I just wanted to get kind of feedback and perspective. What I'll tell you is my wife was very disappointed with this. She gave it 4 out of 10. I was enjoying it. I did enjoy it. I'm kind of settling on a 6 out of 10 for it. The CGI is all present correct. The chimps look as good as they ever did to my eyes. It sets up its new characters pretty well. And sets up their environment. It's 300 years on from War of the Planet of the Apes, so we're now in the 24th century. So for aficionados, George Taylor arrives in the 25th century, but obviously the Rise of the Planet of the Apes was made in the 21st century, not the 20th century, so it may arrive in 200 years' time in the 26th century. Let's see. So all present correct with that. The direction by Wes Ball is good. The dramatic scenes, the action scenes, the effects, everything is well done. But I think the problem with the film is it lacks the touch of sort of character that Rupert Wyatt brought to the first film. I think the first film is very much Rupert Wyatt's job is to do the actors correctly and do the actor wrangling. There's quite a lot of full CG sequences in that film which sort of let it down a little bit technically. When Matt Reeves came in, you had better mocap. And those two films felt more directed, you felt more of his hand, certainly especially on War of the Planet of the Apes, the last one, where he was introducing references to Apocalypse Now, The Outlaw Josie Wales, and The Great Escapes, obviously films he liked. So Wes Ball's directorial hand in this, it feels present, but I don't think he's got as much of a grasp on the material as Matt Reeves had. So Wes Ball's background was in the Maze Runner trilogy. I only watched the first film, that was a YA adaptation. But quite savvily, those films are budgeted $60 million. He did around that, $70 million. He did 3 of those because they weren't as expensive, they made a profit. And obviously the budget for this is $165 million. We'll come to that, how that may affect it in a sec. So from that point of view as well, not quite as assured. The other thing, this film is a bit long. It's 2 hours and 25 minutes long. We foolishly left the cinema straight off the bat. Apparently, it's got a Marvel-y tagged ending, which Rise of the Planet of the Apes had, which showed the virus spreading. So sit till the end. There is a tag thing giving you more information. I hope that's not a spoiler to do that because you might leave. So the plot of this, it is slow to get going. It's kind of, you've got this ape community who work with, they're called the Eagle tribe, they call themselves. I think I've got that right. And they basically get nesting eagle eggs. they train eagles and they go and catch fish for them, is what I sort of got from that. And they've got their little community and it comes under attack and they have to team up with a mute human and orangutan later on and go and rescue the tribe who's been captured by some other apes. So that's not giving too much away. Like I said, the climax was quite exciting for this. It had exciting sequences. It's just the pacing between those wasn't tight enough to me. And the other thing is the characterization. They do their best, but it doesn't have the strong character of Caesar. Caesar, I would argue, is one of the best kind of 3-film character arcs in modern cinema. I wouldn't put him up there with Luke Skywalker's character arc as a trilogy, but he's very good. He starts off, he's a chimp, he's got intelligence, he's at home with James Franco, he gets locked up, he gains speech, he gets the other apes on his side. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, he's leading his people. And then, obviously, in War of the Planet of the Apes, he becomes bitten by revenge, and that kind of undermines what he's built, and there's a lesson in there. So he's on a really cool journey, and at the end of War of the Planet of the Apes, of course, he died, and he'd led his people to safety and freedom. So there was like a closed arc with that. So this film feels like, I think some people call it a soft reboot. I don't know if I agree with that totally, but at the same time, Disney obviously are trying to, relaunch this sort of. We should just say, it's Disney, so it's 20th Century Studios. Of course, Disney bought 20th Century Fox and changed the name of it. Disney's track record is not good at the moment. I would say they haven't fucked this up the way they have Star Wars or Marvel. Not that I really cared about Marvel or their own bloody cartoons. But it's not the assured job of that original trilogy. But for me, there's enough there to go, well, let's see what happens with the next film. So will there be a next film? So this film cost $165 million, I mentioned before. So I think it's fair to say if we had another $135 million on for advertising and prints and everything, and it's going out wide, its negative cost must be about $300 million. So for it to break even, it would need to gross $600 million. Will it do that? I'm not sure. The last film grossed just under $500 million. The first film, the same. Dawn grossed just over $700 million. Obviously, you've got to take into inflation. So your Rise of the Planet of the Apes would be about $650 million. Your Dawn would be $850 million, and your War would be about $600 million. So I'm not sure it'll do those kind of numbers. I think it might cough and split to $500 million. There are still people who will buy HD and Blu-ray. And obviously they can sell the TV rights, but this is where Disney and other companies made a trap for themselves. Of course, they've got Disney streaming. So they will plonk us on Disney streaming and use that to hopefully attract people to subscribe to Disney. I get a free Disney because it's part of a deal with my bank account, and it's something I would dip in and out of. It's pretty fallow to me, although I might catch this film when it comes back on. So I'm not sure. Let's see whether this gets another film. Okay. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go into a few spoiler things. So it's 8.5 minutes now. Obviously, if you've not seen the film, go watch it. You make up your own mind. It is worth seeing on the big screen. I will go into some spoilers. So for me, the initial character of Noah, I like him, but he's not Caesar. That's difficult to do. Caesar's an amazing character, as I've already said. But the way it's set up, the plot was quite nice for the Eagles, but again, it was a bit long-winded. But the attack on their camp was very well done. That was, great action there, very good CG. That was an exciting sequence. Kind of recalled the Tower in Dawn a little bit. Then he kind of had another lull, and then he met the orangutan character. I forget his name now. Let me go down the cast. Raka. So this was infinitely the best character in the film, although you'll never quite match Maurice. I really like the actor who plays Bortus in The Orville. If you've not seen The Orville, it kind of lost its way a bit, but there's this character called Bortus who's fucking brilliant, and he's played by this actor. So he was really good, and I thought he kind of brought a lot to the plot, and he actually kind of brought the previous trilogy to life. Should also mention it was lovely the funeral sequence at the start of Caesar as well. My wife started crying. She cries at everything to do with Caesar. So that was really good. Then he introduced the Nova character, of course, who ended up being called May and could actually speak. That was okay, and then they went to the the big ape camp by the sea. Nice kind of references to original Planet of the Apes. That walk up the beach, kind of almost matching the shot with the angle of the king's head. Almost like the Statue of Liberty. Also, really like the bit where they cross the bridge in the water. Where he introduced the atonal themes from Jerry Goldsmith's original score. The guy who did the score, and I'm just going to look for his name, and it's John Passano. The original score for Planet of the Apes is one of the great scores. It's very experimental. It's otherworldly. Goldsmith kind of gets forgotten a little bit in the John Williams, Ennio Morricone, Bernard Herrmann, those great composers, but he's always been right up there, probably because he doesn't quite have a signature score as a sound as much, but it scores for The Omen, the Star Trek theme, the films, Total Recall, Executive Decision, really good action scores. So it was lovely to hear that sequence was well handled as well. Obviously, if you've seen it, you've seen the end of the film. So not a spoiler, you'll know that actually the character of Raka survives. We hear his voice at the end. Apparently I missed this end credits thing, so that's good, because they need his bloody character, which would suggest to me the next film's not going to be long after this. But my other criticism is, I like Kevin Durand's character, quite interesting. The William H. Macy character kind of mirroring the ape, the donkey in War of the Planets of the Apes, where you've got like the humans helping the apes, helping the wrong side, but basically having the thing where the humans, there are humans with speech, and they've been hiding out in these bunkers. It was a bit implausible. It would seem more plausible if this was 10 or 20 years or 15 years after War for the Planet of the Apes. In that respect, what it mirrors is the Battle for the Planet of the Apes. So those familiar with the original 5 films will know the weird timeline goes back on itself. After Conquest, you get Battle for the Planet of the Apes, and there are humans in that who live in the city under the ground. It's probably old New York, and they're fighting the apes. So yeah, and as well at the end, we were supposed to go, oh great, yeah, the humans, brilliant. It's like, fuck you humans. I mean, I'm Team Ape. I'm Ape all the way. I always have been. So more of those fuckers die, and can't speak, the better. So again, that kind of, what's the word? It kind of means the narrative thrust isn't as strong for me. But overall, could have been paced better. It is a good looking film. It's got some good sequences. I think there's enough there, hopefully, to give us another film. And they're going to have to think really carefully about how they're going to do it. The thing at the end where they're both watching the skies would make me think, are they going to introduce the George Taylor character? But the Planet of the Apes plot twist, that's dead in the water. So you're going to have something where Taylor arrives, maybe he gets captured by the humans, he's siding with them, but maybe he gets captured, well, maybe he finds the humans, he's siding with them, but maybe he gets captured by the apes and then sees the ape culture and sees it's wrong, and he becomes some kind of intermediary. I don't know. Or do you leave that to a third film? Are you going to have a film called Planet of the Apes? I don't know, it's weird, but you can't do that twist ending. That's, that's dead. There's a ridiculous Tim Burton attempt, isn't there, where you got Washington with apes. Anyway, so that's my take on it. Obviously, if you've read, listened on, watched on from this, you'll know the film and the spoilers. So I'll see you again. Remember, share and subscribe, and thanks very much for checking this out.